Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It is 8:30 on this beautiful Tuesday morning out here in the country. And that means that it is time for Tea and Wild Thoughts. 30 minutes of dialogue with your girl, the beauty influencer. That would be me. Good morning. Welcome. And just sharing these good wild thoughts with you guys. Quite a bit on my mind. I wasn't here last Tuesday because the bitch was working. We still work. And been trying to get a lot of things together for you guys that are coming. I know I've been talking about that for quite some time, but it's coming. It's coming together. So if you are watching this on YouTube, I appreciate you. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm getting the vibe right while I do all the housekeeping here. Little Palo Santo. You can check that out at the self-care store if you're not following. I have an online store where I sell all my products. This is one of my energy clearing kits, and you will get a stick of Palo Santo in that, sage smudge stick, the abalone shell, all the good stuff. The link is in the bio. Welcome, and good morning. So yes, if you're checking this out on YouTube, feel free to come through Tuesday mornings on Instagram and join the live conversation. I love to dialogue with all of you guys. Thank you for being here. Good morning. I also have gua sha tools on the self-care store site. And I just started at a new spa in Charlotte, which I'm super excited about, where I do these gua sha massages. And something came to me this morning, like intuitive facial readings. I know that sounds a little juju-ish, but the work that I do is very intuitive. I use stones with my healing massages, with the gua sha that I do, and the face is always telling me a story. We sit down after the gua sha massage and have a cup of tea together, and I share with you everything that I felt, that we're reading. And it's therapeutic and still brings you beauty and healing and all that good stuff. So I'll be sharing more about that on my Joy Taught Me page as well. This morning I am drinking cumin tea. If you were looking for something to help you slim down just a little bit, this is your joint. It's going to clean you out too. Okay, so Google more about that. But yeah, cumin's excellent. All right, so let's get to what is on my mind this morning. So I was just thinking the other day about being able to recognize when a relationship has really run its course. And I'm not talking about disagreements, small disagreements. I'm not talking about differences in lifestyle choices or backgrounds. Sometimes you get through little hiccups in any type of relationship, and this is not just romantic. This is across the board. This could be family. This could be friendship. I am talking about this really clear moment of discernment and awareness when you realize that someone's journey is just no longer aligned with yours. I know I've had these moments, unfortunately, many times in life, where you just realize, like, we are just really either not compatible or this journey has completed, with this person. And if you're not careful and you don't listen to that moment of discernment, people can get you fucked up. And I don't mean just like on the strength of like, you got me fucked up. Like, yes, do not ignore that feeling. It's serious. It gives me a chill actually just saying it because, spiritual warfare is a real deal thing. And so sometimes it could be that someone, good morning, it could be that someone is just vibrating low, and this is not to point fingers and like, we're in this culture right now where people are calling people toxic and all this kind of stuff. And then, yeah, but we bond on those levels at some point too. So it could be that you're outgrowing something or have, evolved through something, and that person may still be on that level. And sometimes I'll get further into this, but sometimes they could be bringing people, just to give you an example, they could be bringing people around that their discernment is not sharp enough. And this is how literally people can get killed at points. This is how, so to bring a very current scenario and dynamic to what I'm talking about, like Megan The Stallion. Sometimes I'm like, bitch, you're 40. Like, you about 40 years old and you still paying attention to this stuff. But it's current events, it is what it is. So, like, Megan The Stallion recently got shot in both of her feet. Allegedly, Tory Lanez is involved in this. And I've kind of been following the story because what it really breaks down to for me is, black women and listening to black women. She's a young girl. She's at the height of her career right now. And something like this happens, and it's just wild, And so she hadn't been speaking about it. She got on live yesterday, and this girl is crying, and she's talking about how this is someone who lost her parents. She lost her grandmother, and how you have these people around you trying to cope and fill that space. And it just breaks down to that point of in understanding that this scenario that happened to her has helped her to really take a pause and look at the people very clearly in her life. And so, again, to what I'm talking about, I want to bring up scenarios like Jay-Z and Dame. Not that either one of these men are bad or don't have, their purposes in life, the whole thing. But you can see, though, if you look back, you can see when Jay-Z had those moments where he's like, this ain't gonna work. We're kind of going in two different places. Jay-Z and Kanye, I'm trying to think of, you look great this morning. Thank you. I appreciate that. I tried, girl. I got a little sleep last night, so that was good. But yeah, so there are these very clear moments where you can feel that your journey is just no longer aligned with someone else's, and you have to listen to that. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. If you can't, if you aren't careful in the moment, you can really become trapped in your triggers too. And risk stifling your own growth. And, it's like a pot that needs replanting. If you're into growing plants, kind of like I am, you see sometimes that a plant literally can't grow anymore because it just doesn't have any room for the roots to spread out. Jesus said it's okay to move on. Amen. Amen and amen again. Thank you. Thank you. So, yes. So I don't know about you guys, if you have ever experienced a friendship breakup, but that shit hurt. It's one thing about, a romantic breakup, but when you start really having to make that decision to move on from, people that are in your childhood, people you've known for years, even people in your family, that can be a very painful experience and scary, to want to, and feel like, I really can't do this with y'all no more. The vibration is just too damn low, and I can no longer vibe with you here. It's not an easy thing to do, and I have been there at many points in life. So if you think about it, these moments tend to happen at turning points in life, whether that is like marriage or career changes, kids. It could be the death of a loved one. Again, like what we're seeing with people need to read up on trauma bonds. Yes. I'm a person who psychology for me is kind of like a hobby. Like I'm always listening and reading different things on Instagram. Like I as a person who has experienced a lot of trauma in their life, and I've talked about this so many times, if you have been to this conversation and follow me for some time, you know, I truly believe that we as Black people have trauma in our DNA. We've been through so much, you know, and just with that journey of slavery, and some of it is just in us. And so every generation that comes, you know, we are here to evolve past. So yes, trauma bonding is a real deal thing. And I agree with you. Please, even look up the hashtag. You will find lots of information that will give you some aha moments. Because people can be on some bullshit. So, sometimes the way you bonded at one point in your life is no longer serving. So, to give you an example, you know, maybe you and people, or you and said person, maybe y'all used to drink and smoke all the time. Maybe that was the way, you know, you did. And look, there is no judgment from me. It's not a judgment thing. It's just an awareness, again, on what actually pulled us together. Maybe you and that person used to just sit around and talk shit about people all the time. You know, pointing the finger. And I'm using the word shit, you know, I'm using a curse word, but, you know, that dynamic shows up in the church as well. So maybe it's lots of church folks, you know, out there who love to point the finger. I have family members who love to, you know, cast down and talk about all these other people and what they're doing. It doesn't always have to show up as drinking, smoking, sexing. There are lots of toxic, just judgment, period, you know, about other people. Deflecting and projecting, you know, and we all have things internally that we can be reflecting on and working on. Nobody is perfect out here. And most of the time, the things that we deal with are not even from us. You know, they're things that are passed down. So, anywho, you know, maybe you both had miserable jobs, you know, or terrible partners, terrible, you know, romantic partners. Maybe that was your bond, that you guys just got together all the time and just talked about, you know, how much you hated one particular thing. And, you know, misery loves company. Misery loves company. So let's just say that you both at one point had these terrible jobs, okay? And you vented and talked about how terrible work was. And then one day, you know, you just took the leap and you decided to go get a new job. Or you quit and you started a business. And as much as you love this person, you know, your conversation starts to shift and it starts to change, because you no longer choose to just dwell in the pain of what you were dealing with. Whether that be the job, the relationship, you could decide to go to therapy. I've had that scenario happen to me, you know, where the more that I started just healing from my own stuff, the relationship with certain people just was no longer fulfilling, because they were still on levels projecting their trauma and literally not dealing with the things that were bothering them. So we just didn't have as much to relate on anymore, and that relationship changed. And you know, everybody deals with that differently. Everybody deals with that in a different way. It can come out in so many passive aggressive ways. You know, near the end, I'm gonna talk about the ways that this can show up. But so with that said, in society we tend to reward loyalty, but rarely acknowledge the necessary separations for elevation. You know, and you know, this is my wild thoughts, so I'm just gonna say this. You know, like sometimes you see people like, we've been friends since elementary school, you know, or there's nothing wrong, because there are some select few people that you genuinely can evolve with through all these changes and transitions in your life. But let's be honest, it's rare, you know, the older that you get. And so sometimes I tend to wonder, you know, is it about the loyalty and that we've just been able to be friends as long, or are we keeping each other small? You know, like some people just choose to kind of remain small for each other. Um, and that just shouldn't be a part of, I'm not going to say shouldn't. We all have choices. We always have choices. I appreciate my freedom riders, those who I'm escaping this mental slavery with. You are one of them. Yes, my love, you are one of them for me as well. And we have been friends for a very, very long time. And I genuinely appreciate you. You're one of few, you know, that I had, whether we talk every day, whether we talk sporadically, you know, it doesn't matter. And we've been through lots of changes. So it is definitely is possible. I'm not saying that it isn't, but I am saying, because I've also experienced on the flip side, of a lot of time should not be the only bond. There you go. That's probably a better way of saying it. Time should not be the only bond. I like that. I like that a lot. You just gotta know. You gotta use that discernment, and only you know in your gut. You know when you feeling that feeling like, "Ooh, I cannot have one more conversation with this person," you know, or this is just getting exhausting, you know, or this is wearing on my spirit. And be willing, you know, to move on. And sometimes that could be just for a time. It could be that, you know, you come back around at another stage of life and things are better, you know, but don't just out of loyalty stay stuck in relationships that just are no longer serving you. Be willing to free yourself. Be willing to be free, so that you can evolve. And, you know, sometimes it's really a matter of, good morning, love. Sometimes it's really a matter of expanding your community and expanding your circle. It's not like, you know, I also believe that you can't turn everybody in your past into people that you particularly need in your future. I'll give you an example. My mom, super into health and wellness, always has been. And, you know, I'm into health and wellness, but I like other stuff. There are things that we don't have in common. And I'm constantly encouraging her, you need to find a community of people who are into the things that you're into. You're driving your family crazy, trying to turn us into people who like what you like and just want to do what you do. Like, you need to expand and find where those people are. And sometimes that's the challenge for us too. You know, like, maybe you need the mommy circle. Maybe you need more married friends, or you need all your friends got married and you need more single friends. Sometimes that's a challenge. It's not always that we have to cut off the relationships, but I am talking about those people where, you know, maybe they're watching you grow, and or they again need you to be small, or they need you to be the old you who was in pain, or who had to drink, had to smoke, had to, however you were dealing with your pain, had to sex, had to, you know, and they cannot deal with you being a person who no longer has to soothe in those ways, you know. People should, you know, love you at your highest. Whatever that looks like for you, you know. So, anywho, yes, keeping yourself small will make you miserable, and misery loves company. Those relationships that remain intact through the transitions are the golden ones. Like my love Miracle here. And many of you who have been through this journey with me, I mean, I sit here, I tell my story, I share, and I no longer aspire to be a perfect person. I am not a perfect person. I don't try to be a perfect person. I try to share you know, and I'm grateful for all the people who have, you know, looked at me and my flaws and like, yo, you know, Joy's having a moment. Or, okay, you know, she's human. You know, you're grateful. I'm grateful. We should all be grateful for the people who can see us at our worst and still, you know, be there. Those are the golden ones. They really are. And especially when you're in public formats and things like that, it can get, even bringing up the celebrities that I brought up earlier, it can get very cloudy. Of why are you here? You know, like, what is the purpose? You know, some people ride coattails, as in Megan The Stallion, you know, like, just those people who are around her. I'm sure it's very challenging right now, especially as a human being, a black woman who needs people to be there for her in her genuine moments of just having pain and being a real person, versus wanting that to be attached to her celebrity and her, you know, her journey, her gifts, you know, her blessings. And sometimes God will, again, that's that discernment. God will open that up. He will show you. Be careful when you pray for it too, because he will show you. That person got to go. They got to go. So, you know, again, to say that it doesn't mean that you're living the exact same life as someone else, or, you know, it doesn't mean that we're just finding mirrors of ourselves on the outside. Just because somebody doesn't reflect you in that way doesn't mean that they're not your person. It more so means that we are honoring each other's journeys. The way that you're going, I honor that, you know. Again, just an example. I'm a woman who's not married, no kids. You know, I have most of my friends married with children. We have other ways that we can bond, you know, and as long as everybody is happy and in the space where they want to be in, I think that's where we can bond. You know, it's not just time, it's the fact that, okay, we're making these transitions and we're making choices that are fulfilling to us. So, some of the ways that these relationships can, or the discernment can pop up, that you may feel, you know, these sensations of when it's like, I don't know. And like I said, it's not about having a disagreement, an occasional disagreement, or, because that's natural in any type of relationship. You also need diversity in your circle. Like, I need someone that's going to go with me to church, but might cuss somebody out on a pew. Yeah. Agreed. And that keeps us sharp. It keeps us, aware, you know, that there are other things going on in life. I have different people I know, you know, from all different types of class backgrounds, social backgrounds, race backgrounds. You know, it keeps us sharp, keeps us aware, that keeps our circle, you know, much larger, our awareness much larger. Again, you don't have to stay small, and that's not just mentally, you know, regionally, all of that. That's why I do this conversation, so I can connect with people everywhere as much as I possibly can. Okay, so some of the ways that you can start to feel that discernment and when these relationships feel strained. So when a conversation feels strained or feels like torture, I have experienced where, you know, it's almost like I hate getting on the phone, you know, with this person. Or it just takes so much energy, you know what I mean, to have a conversation with this person. You know, I love my mama, but she one of them people for me right now in this space where it's challenging. It's challenging. I can't just voluntarily separate from my mom, and sometimes, you know, again, sometimes we have to. Sometimes we have to for the moment. When you think ahead of time about what to say. Yes, I have had that too. Where, like, really, we planning the conversation, bro. Like, we just don't need to talk. We don't. It's cool. Like, it's cool. I free flowing. You know, we should both feel free to be ourselves. And if you don't and I don't, you know, it's cool. We don't have to do this. When you genuinely feel as if someone won't be happy for you, you know, when something really great is happening in your life and you kind of first you want to share it with everybody and then you're like, because that person might be making passive aggressive remarks, that person might be internalizing, you know. It might be that every time you share something they start, oh well, I'm not doing this again. You know, these relationships, friendships should be ways that we can inspire each other too. You know, nobody wants to just see their friend unhappy. We're all just making choices, you know. So, you know, I've had lots of people like, girl, if you want to do something, do it. Go for it. Jump. You know, whatever little way that you can. Let's find ways to talk about the solutions. Again, misery loves company. So, when they seem to feel better when you're in pain. Sometimes, you know, again, you know, something might happen, a breakup, or a certain opportunity you didn't get. You know, I've had times too where I get a lot more attention for things I share online about me being unhappy. Oh, this happened, and like, you know, like, because again, misery loves company. So it's easier sometimes for people to attach to what's painful for you than for them to attach to the great things that are happening. Especially if they can't feel some level of validation in your success. That's a very subtle thing. Talk about that some more another time. But yeah. So, use your discernment. Be okay. Miracle mentioned trauma bonding. Also, look up attachment styles. That is something that is really important. Brought me a lot of clarity on things. So, a lot of people can mistake loyalty for just having a certain type of attachment style. I'm naturally a little bit more detached, so that's just me. But sometimes we're just really hanging on to people because it's more connected to something in our childhood or something that you know, we needed someone a certain way. So I'm gonna share my wild thought for the day. Be loyal to God, not people. The evolution is in loving God through people. And, you know, matter of fact, I'm going to share really quickly even what the definition of loyalty is, which is really just being loyal. It's giving or showing firm and constant support or allegiance to a person or institution. To a person or institution. People flawed. Naturally, even the ones we love. So, be loyal to God. That's all you gotta do. God will show you. And even when you have to love them through some flaws or whatever it may be, love yourself through some flaws. You're loving God through the person, you know. Again, spiritual warfare is a real thing, bruh. And it can operate through people in their lower moments. So just be conscious. Be conscious. Shouts out to Megan The Stallion. You know, hope that she continues her journey, finds, you know, God through some really powerful, strong people in her life and people that God wants to be in her life. Jay-Z found his. Beyonce found hers. Oprah found her. You know, hey, it's part of, I believe, achieving certain levels of success as well. So, I'm going to wrap up by sharing, once again, one of my products from the self-care store. You can check that out at the link in my bio, www.justjoy.store. That is my Etsy store, where I share all the products that I'm making. Also, we'll be adding some things very soon. So, you can also sign up for my mailing list. That is thebeautyinfluencer.org. And next Tuesday, God willing, we will be here again for Tea and Wild Thoughts. That part of loving through the flaws. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the more that we can do that for ourselves, we can really do that for each other. It ain't about being perfect, but it is about knowing when somebody on some bullshit. So don't mistake that. Don't just mistake your discernment. Just be aware. So I love y'all. I hope you have an amazing Tuesday, and I'll see you next time. Peace.